The days turned into weeks, and Derek found himself lost in a sea of conflicting emotions. Each morning, he'd wake up, the memories of the night he discovered the betrayal flooding back like a storm. The unease in his chest felt like a persistent ache that refused to fade. Belinda tried her best to restore some sense of normalcy in their home. She cooked Derek's favorite meals, sent him sweet messages during the day, and made sure the house was always tidy. But Derek couldn't shake the feeling of distance between them. The laughter they once shared felt like a distant memory, buried under layers of hurt and betrayal. One evening, Derek decided he needed more time to think, away from the chaos of home. He called John, who had been a steadfast support throughout this ordeal. "Hey, John, can we meet up again?" Derek asked, his voice slightly shaky. "I think I need to get away for a bit."
Of course, man.
"I'm here for you. Where do you want to go?" John replied, "How about that lakeside cabin you mentioned? Just a weekend to clear my head." "Sounds perfect. I'll pick you up tomorrow." The following day, Derek packed a small bag and left a note for Belinda, letting her know he needed some space. As he drove with John toward the cabin, the weight on his shoulders felt a little lighter, as if he were shedding the burden of his troubled relationship, if only for a moment. The cabin was cozy, nestled among tall trees and overlooking a serene lake. As they settled in, Derek felt a sense of calm wash over him. John prepared some snacks, and they sat on the porch, the sounds of nature providing a soothing backdrop. "Talk to me, Derek," John urged, his expression serious. "What are you really feeling?" "I don't know, man. I thought I knew Belinda inside and out. But now, everything feels so different. It's like she's a stranger to me," Derek confessed, staring at the lake, its surface shimmering under the sunlight. "You need to focus on what you want," John encouraged. "Do you want to work things out with her? Do you think you can trust her again?" Derek ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "I want to, but I keep seeing images of her with James. It makes my stomach turn. And what if it happens again?" "Only you can decide what's worth fighting for," John replied gently. "Just remember that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It's about choosing to move forward." As they talked, Derek felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this time apart would give him the clarity he desperately needed. He thought about the good times he had with Belinda, the way she smiled when he surprised her with flowers, the warmth of her laughter, and the dreams they shared. That night, as they sat around a small fire, Derek realized he missed those moments. But could he really return to that life, knowing what had happened? "Have you talked to James?" Derek asked suddenly, the name feeling heavy on his tongue.
No.
"I've kept my distance from him, and I think you should too," John replied. "You don't need that negativity in your life right now." Derek nodded, but a part of him felt the need for closure. "I might have to face him at some point, John. I can't run away forever. Just make sure you're ready. Confrontation can lead to more hurt if you're not prepared," John warned. After a restful weekend, Derek returned home with a newfound sense of determination. He knew he had to talk to Belinda and face the situation head-on. He needed to be honest with her and himself. When he walked through the door, Belinda was waiting, her eyes filled with hope.
Derek.
"You're back," she exclaimed, rushing toward him. "Yeah, I am," he said, a mixture of emotions swirling within him. "We need to talk." They sat at the dining table, the air thick with tension. Derek took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "Belinda, I've had some time to think, and I want to understand what happened between you and James." Belinda's expression shifted to one of concern. "I know I messed up, Derek. I was selfish and foolish. I never meant to hurt you. Why did it happen? Was it something I did? Or something I didn't do?" Derek asked, his voice steady, but his heart racing. "It wasn't you," she insisted, tears welling in her eyes. "It was my own insecurities. I felt like I was losing you, and I didn't know how to cope. James, he was there, and I made a horrible mistake." Derek felt a mix of anger and sadness. "You turned to him instead of talking to me? I thought we were supposed to be a team." "I know, and I regret it every day. I was confused and scared. I should have come to you, but I didn't. I'm so sorry." "Sorry isn't enough, Belinda," Derek said, the pain bubbling to the surface. You broke my trust. I don't know how to move forward. Belinda reached for his hand, her touch warm and desperate. Please, let me prove to you that I can change. I'll do anything to earn your trust back. I love you, Derek. I can't imagine my life without you. Derek looked into her eyes, searching for sincerity. He saw her pain, her longing for forgiveness, but doubt still gnawed at him. I want to believe you, but it's going to take time. I need to see real changes. I understand, she replied, a glimmer of hope shining in her eyes. I'll show you that I can be better. Just give me a chance. As days turned into weeks, Derek watched Belinda try to make amends. She attended therapy sessions and read books about rebuilding trust in relationships. They had deep conversations about their feelings, and for the first time in a while, he felt a flicker of hope. But Derek also knew he had to confront James. The thought of it made his stomach churn, but he couldn't run away from the truth any longer. One evening, he called John. I think I'm ready to face James. Are you sure? You don't have to do this if you're not ready, John cautioned. I know, but I need closure, John. I can't move forward without it. Okay, let me know when and where. I'll be there for support. Derek decided to meet James at a coffee shop, a neutral ground that felt less intimidating. As he arrived, his heart raced. Would James show up? What would he say? Moments later, James walked in, his expression a mix of guilt and surprise when he spotted Derek. He approached slowly, the air heavy with tension. Derek, James started, his voice tentative. I didn't expect to see you here. Yeah, well, I thought it was time we talked, Derek replied, keeping his tone steady. Look, I'm sorry for what happened. I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened, and I regret it every day, James said, his sincerity evident. You've lost my trust, man. You were my best friend, and you betrayed me in the worst way, Derek said, feeling a surge of anger. Do you realize how much pain this has caused? I know, and I'm truly sorry. I messed up big time, James replied, his voice heavy with regret. I should have respected your marriage. I was weak. Derek looked into James's eyes, searching for any sign of insincerity, but only finding remorse. What do you want from me? Do you think I can just forgive you and forget everything? No, I don't expect that. I just want you to know how sorry I am. I'll accept whatever you decide, James said, his head bowed in shame. Derek felt torn, anger and disappointment battling with the remnants of their friendship. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, James. You hurt me deeply, and that doesn't just go away. I understand. I'll give you space. Just know that I'm here if you ever want to talk, James said quietly, stepping back as if to give Derek the distance he needed. As Derek watched James leave the cafe, a part of him felt lighter, as if he'd taken a step toward healing. But the journey was far from over. When Derek returned home, Belinda was waiting, her face anxious. How did it go? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I confronted him, Derek replied, the weight of the conversation still lingering in his mind. It was tough, but I think I needed to do it. Did he apologize? Belinda asked, her eyes searching his.
He did.
But it doesn't change what happened, Derek said, the pain returning. I still feel hurt and confused. I understand, Belinda said, stepping closer. But I'll be here for you, every step of the way. I want to make this right. Derek nodded, the warmth of her words bringing some comfort. But deep down, he knew the road ahead would be long, filled with challenges and uncertainties. As the weeks passed, Derek worked on rebuilding his relationship with Belinda. They attended couples therapy together, sharing their feelings and fears in a safe space. Slowly but surely, they began to reconnect, discovering parts of each other that had been overshadowed by the betrayal. Derek still had moments of doubt, but he tried to focus on the positives. He learned to express his feelings more openly, and Belinda made an effort to show her commitment through small gestures of love and kindness. It wasn't easy, but they were both determined to heal. They shared more laughter and started making new memories together, reminiscent of the happier times before the betrayal. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Derek turned to Belinda. I still have a long way to go, but I want to believe in us again. I want that too, Derek, she replied, her eyes sparkling with hope. Let's take it one day at a time. Derek smiled, feeling a sense of warmth spread through him. For the first time in a while, he felt a flicker of hope for the future. He knew they had a long journey ahead, but with each step they took together, the bond they shared grew stronger. The road to healing wasn't linear. There were still tough days, moments of doubt, and lingering questions. But through it all, Derek and Belinda learned the importance of communication, trust, and vulnerability. They knew the scars of betrayal would always be part of their story, but it didn't have to define them. Together, they chose to forge a new path, one filled with love, understanding, and resilience. In time, Derek realized that sometimes love means weathering the storm together and emerging stronger on the other side. As Derek and Belinda continued to navigate their rocky relationship, they also began to face the reality of their new normal. Their shared moments were tinged with an awareness of what had happened, but they were also filled with determination to make things right. However, the shadows of James lingered like a specter in their home. Weeks passed, and Derek found himself feeling both stronger and weaker at the same time. He had moments of joy with Belinda, cooking together, taking long walks, and even sharing laughter over their favorite shows. But in the back of his mind, the question of James's lingering influence gnawed at him. Derek, I was thinking we could go to that little Italian place downtown this Friday, Belinda suggested one evening, her tone hopeful. He nodded, grateful for her efforts to bring back some semblance of normalcy. That sounds nice. Just us, right? Absolutely, she smiled. I want to make things better between us. Just the two of us. No distractions. Friday arrived, and after a week of anticipation, they headed to the restaurant. As they walked through the entrance, laughter and the clinking of glasses filled the air, creating a warm atmosphere. They settled into a cozy booth, and for the first time in a while, Derek felt a flicker of excitement. Just as they began to chat and catch up, the bell above the door jingled again, and in walked James. His eyes widened when he spotted Derek and Belinda at the booth. The tension in the room shifted immediately. Derek's heart sank. He hadn't anticipated running into James, especially on what was supposed to be a rekindling of their relationship. Hey, James said awkwardly, glancing between them. I didn't expect to see you here. Derek shot him a glare, anger bubbling just below the surface. Neither did we, he replied, his voice tight. Belinda, sensing the tension, turned to James. Hi, James. We're just having dinner together. Right, James said, his discomfort palpable. I'll just grab a table over there. Derek watched as James walked away, feeling a mix of anger and anxiety. Why does he always have to show up? He muttered, frustration evident in his tone. Derek, let's try to have a good night, Belinda urged gently, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. We can't let him ruin this for us. Reluctantly, he nodded, trying to push the irritation aside. They focused on their meal, but the shadow of James hung over them, a reminder of the painful past. Later that night, after a surprisingly pleasant dinner, they returned home. As they settled onto the couch, Belinda turned to Derek, her expression serious. I know that seeing James tonight was hard for you, she said softly. But I think we need to talk about how we can move forward. Do we really have to? Derek sighed, rubbing his temples. It's exhausting. I know, but it's important, Belinda insisted. You can't keep bottling up your feelings. It's not good for either of us. Derek hesitated, but eventually nodded. Okay, fine. But it's hard. I feel like I'm constantly waiting for the next betrayal. I don't want to go through that again. I understand. I'm scared too, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. But we have to rebuild that trust together. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you either, Derek said, his heart softening. But how do we do that? It's not going to be easy. Belinda suggested they start with open communication. Let's agree to share our feelings, no matter how uncomfortable it might be, she proposed. We can set aside time each week to talk about our worries and our progress. Okay, Derek said cautiously. But you have to promise to be honest with me about everything, even the small stuff. I promise, she replied earnestly, her eyes locking onto his. And I want you to do the same. As they talked, Derek felt a glimmer of hope for their future. Perhaps they could navigate this storm together, one conversation at a time. However, the following week, Derek's resolve was put to the test. He received a call from John, who sounded concerned. "Derek, I think you need to know something. I ran into James, and he mentioned something that didn't sit right with me." "What did he say?" Derek asked, his heart racing. "James said he's still struggling with his feelings for Belinda," John revealed, his tone cautious. "I thought you should hear it directly from me." Derek's stomach dropped. Why is he still bringing her up? "I thought he was trying to move on." "I don't know, man. But it sounds like he's not giving up easily," John warned. "You need to keep your guard up." That evening, as he shared the news with Belinda, Derek felt a mix of emotions: anger, disappointment, and fear. "Why can't he just leave us alone?" he exclaimed, frustration boiling over. "It's like he's trying to sabotage our marriage." Belinda's expression shifted to concern. "Derek, I had no idea he was still harboring feelings. I thought he was just trying to be a good friend." "Good friends don't betray each other," Derek retorted, feeling the familiar pain returning. "He needs to understand that we're trying to rebuild something here." "I can talk to him," Belinda suggested, her voice steady. "I'll let him know that it's over between us, and he needs to respect that." "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Derek asked, unsure. "What if it makes things worse?" "I'd rather face him directly than let him linger in the background," she insisted. "We have to be clear about where we stand." Derek took a deep breath, feeling torn. "Okay, if that's what you want, just be careful." The next day, Belinda reached out to James and arranged to meet him at the coffee shop again. Derek felt a mixture of anxiety and anger as he waited for her to return. When she walked through the door later that afternoon, her expression was tense. "I talked to him," she said quietly, sitting down beside Derek. "And?" he asked, his heart pounding. He seemed surprised but also defensive. "He kept insisting he didn't mean to hurt us," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "But I made it clear that I'm committed to you, Derek. He needs to accept that." Derek felt a surge of protectiveness. "What did he say?" "He said he would try to back off, but I could see it in his eyes. He's not done yet." "I don't trust him," she admitted, looking down. "That's the problem," Derek said, feeling frustrated. "He needs to understand that this is serious. If he can't respect our marriage, then he doesn't belong in our lives at all." "I agree," Belinda said firmly. "But we have to be strong together. I'll deal with him if he crosses the line again." As the days went by, Derek and Belinda grew closer, sharing their feelings more openly and supporting each other through the ongoing struggles. They found comfort in their shared moments, even as the specter of James loomed over them. One evening, as they prepared dinner together, Belinda turned to Derek with a playful smile. "Remember when we used to cook together every Friday?" Derek chuckled, the memory bringing a warmth to his heart. "Yeah, those were good times. You always burned the garlic bread." "Hey, it was a learning experience," she laughed, playfully nudging him. Derek smiled, feeling the tension lift momentarily. "Maybe we can make it a tradition again, just like old times." "I'd love that," Belinda said, her eyes sparkling. "Let's start fresh, one meal at a time." As they cooked, they laughed and teased each other, the kitchen filled with warmth. For a moment, they felt like a couple in love again, the bond slowly mending. However, just as they were beginning to feel secure in their new rhythm, the peace was shattered. Derek received a message from James, asking to meet. His heart sank. What does he want now? Derek muttered to himself, frustration boiling over. "Is everything okay?" Belinda asked, sensing his tension. "It's James. He wants to meet." "I don't want to deal with him again," Derek replied, irritation clear in his tone. "Are you going to go?" she asked, concern etched on her face. "I guess I have to. He needs to know that he can't come between us anymore," Derek said, determination filling him. That evening, Derek met James at the same coffee shop. As he arrived, he noticed James sitting at a table, his expression unreadable. "Derek," James said, his voice steady but low as Derek approached. "Thanks for meeting me. Let's cut to the chase." "I don't want to waste time," Derek replied, feeling the tension rise. James nodded, his gaze serious. I understand that things have been complicated, but I still care about Belinda. I can't just walk away. Derek felt anger flare inside him. You need to respect our marriage, James. This isn't a game. Belinda is with me, not you. I know, but I can't help how I feel, James insisted, his tone defensive. I thought we had something real. What you had was betrayal, Derek said, his voice steady. You need to back off, or I won't hesitate to cut you out of my life completely. James sighed, running a hand through his hair. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to be there for her when she needed someone. She didn't need you. She needed me, Derek shot back. You have to stop being selfish. This isn't just about you anymore. The conversation turned heated, and Derek realized that no matter what James said, the betrayal had severed their bond. You don't understand, James said, frustration creeping into his voice. I thought we could still be friends. I thought you could forgive me. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, Derek replied, his voice firm. You crossed a line, and now you have to face the consequences. James's face fell as the weight of Derek's words sank in. I never wanted this. Derek cut him off, his heart heavy. It's too late for that. I want you out of my life, James. We can't go back to how things were. As James stared at him, the reality of their shattered friendship hung in the air.
Fine.
I'll leave you both alone, he said, his voice low. But this isn't over. As Derek returned home, the confrontation weighed heavily on him. He knew it was necessary, but the finality of it stung. Belinda was waiting for him, her expression a mix of concern and support. How did it go? She asked softly. Not great. I told him to stay away from us, Derek replied, his voice heavy. But he didn't take it well. I'm proud of you for standing your ground, Belinda said, stepping closer to him. We need to protect our relationship. Derek nodded, but doubt lingered in his mind. What if he doesn't listen? Then we'll face it together, she promised, her eyes unwavering. We're in this together, remembers? In that moment, Derek felt a sense of renewed commitment. They had faced the storm together, and even though the winds of doubt still blew, he believed in their ability to navigate the future. As the weeks turned into months, the healing process continued. Though shadows of James's betrayal still lingered, Derek and Belinda found solace in their growing bond. They learned to communicate openly, share their fears, and rebuild the trust that had been shattered. They took small steps toward rebuilding their lives, focusing on their shared goals and dreams. They found joy in everyday moments and learned to appreciate the little things, a shared breakfast, a spontaneous walk, and laughter that echoed in their home. One evening, as they curled up on the couch, watching their favorite show, Belinda turned to Derek. Do you think we can really get through this? Derek smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. I believe we can. We're stronger together, and I won't let anything tear us apart again. Belinda nodded, her eyes sparkling with hope. I love you, Derek. I love you too, Belinda. We'll keep fighting for us. As they settled into each other's arms, Derek felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but together, they could weather any storm. As time passed, Derek and Belinda continued to nurture their relationship. They attended couples therapy sessions, where they explored their feelings and learned healthier ways to communicate. With each session, they uncovered layers of their emotions and began to understand one another on a deeper level. One evening, as they sat together, Derek broached a subject that had been on his mind. I've been thinking about taking a weekend trip, he said, looking at Belinda. Just the two of us. I think it could help us reconnect. Belinda's face lit up with excitement. That sounds amazing. Where do you want to go? I was thinking maybe the beach. Just some time away from everything to focus on us, he suggested. I love that idea, she replied, her enthusiasm infectious. We can relax, enjoy the sun, and just be together. The couple spent the next few weeks planning their getaway. They booked a cozy beach house and packed their bags, eager for a change of scenery and a chance to strengthen their bond. When they finally arrived at the beach, the salty breeze and soothing waves welcomed them. They spent their days exploring the shore, collecting seashells, and enjoying long walks along the water's edge. One evening, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Derek and Belinda settled on the sand. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the waves crash against the shore. "Do you remember the first time we came to the beach together?" Derek asked, smiling at the memory. Belinda laughed softly. "Of course. We got lost trying to find our way back to the hotel. That was a disaster," Derek chuckled. "But it was one of the best days ever." "Yeah, and we laughed about it for weeks," Belinda said, her eyes sparkling. "I love how we can turn even the craziest moments into something beautiful." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Derek took a deep breath and turned to Belinda. "I want to make more memories like this with you. I'm committed to us, no matter what challenges we face." Belinda reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. "Me too, Derek. We're stronger together, and I want to keep building our future." On their last evening at the beach, Derek surprised Belinda with a candlelit dinner on the sand. As they enjoyed their meal, he took out a small box from his pocket. "What's this?" Belinda asked, her eyes widening with curiosity. Derek opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring. "I want you to wear this as a promise. A promise that I will always fight for us, and that I'll never take our love for granted again." Tears welled up in Belinda's eyes as she took the ring from the box. "It's beautiful, Derek. I promise to cherish this, and to always fight for us too." They shared a heartfelt embrace, sealing their promises to each other. In that moment, they knew they were on the right path, ready to face whatever came next together. As Derek and Belinda returned home, they felt renewed and revitalized. Their relationship had been tested, but they had emerged stronger, more connected, and ready to face the future. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Derek and Belinda's journey. What have you learned from their experiences? Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for watching. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to grow and strengthen the bonds we hold dear. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon.